all the world's lands, the most immense. A fifth of the entire solid surface of the earth. One flank washed by the Atlantic, the other by the Indian Ocean. Its foot in the Antarctic, its head in the Mediterranean. 300 years ago, when men crawled across the continent at the plodding speed of the ox wagon, it was said, "We carry within us all the wonders we seek without us." There is all Africa and her prodigies in us. The wonders that they spoke of then remain, but the remote and unknown has at last become accessible, and Africa is now just a dawn away. Here is the threshold to Africa. Here it began 2,000 years ago when the Assyrians made a city which became Cairo, astride the greatest river in the world, the timeless Nile, artery of Egypt, where the Feluccas of our time moved down into the 20th century, past the stone memories of the oldest civilization known to mankind. The pharaohs are gone, but Luxor remains, the place of the tombs. How far from Europe? Half a day or 300 generations? The desert was once a frontier more impenetrable than the ocean. Today, by air, it is an interlude between the Africa of the Arabs and 2,000 miles away in West Africa, Nigeria. In the lifetime of many men still living, this was unknown. Only the caravans could come to Kano, the great trading city of northern Nigeria. The caravans now come a different way, riding the air, counting the camels' weeks in the aircraft hours. Even today, Africa's traditions continue. The Emir's cavalry maintain the old dignities among the new freedoms. The old commerce continues. The old crafts, the old methods and manners, the old techniques and trades. In Ghana, at the edge of the ocean, the ancient forts endure as memorials of the faraway days when the white man first came to the Guinea coast. West Africa is a vivid land of vivid people, concerned with things of brightness and abundance, of buying and selling, of fruits and flowers, of peppers and cassava, and of the produce of the earth and the sea. It is also a land of now, of today, of growth and vigor and new enthusiasm, of new skills and talents. And in Lagos, they are skilled in the art of entertaining those who come so easily from half a world away. continent between them. East Africa means the lands of Uganda, Kenya, Tanganyika, and Zanzibar. Places of immense variety of peoples, of races, of callings, of paradoxes. And one of the gateways to it is Entebbe. East Africa is the home of the big game, and for what sportsmen once had to give up half a year, they now achieve overnight. Safari. It once meant adventure. It still means adventure. The white hunter's horizons still extend to the deepest mysteries of Africa, but the anxieties have gone. And he is in the hands of those who know this country in all its huge and lovely aspects. The face of East Africa is both enduring and full of change, crossed by the tribal tracks that are now roads, through highland farms cut from the empty bush. And as their guides know the land, so too they know its creatures, and love them both. Men of Africa are the Maasai, the greatest highland tribe. Africa's aristocrats, the proud and arrogant herdsmen who accept no man's dominion over their ancestral place of wandering. Africa dances. The expression of the African spirit, the African personality, is rhythm and the dance. The dance and the drums come from the past, endure in the present, bridging the enormous gap between the Africa of the early years and the awakening land of today. How many miles to Babylon, to London, to Paris, to the New World and the very old? The capital of Kenya is Nairobi. 60 years ago, it was not even here. Now it grows daily, a center of urbane comfort in the midst of an enormous hinterland. Only an hour's flight from this busy town are the plains of Serengeti, home of the game. It is a vast reservoir of alert and anxious life. The inhabitants are elusive, but not coy. The Impala and the remote and curious giraffe. Those who are hunted and those who hunt. The dignified siesta of the slumberous lion is not a thing he will disturb for the impertinent curiosity of man. He relaxes, for his time for action is yet to come. But when the lioness seeks her meat, let the creatures of the bush beware. This is the endless pattern of the hunter and the hunted, of the fierce of claw and the fleet of foot, of the strong against the nimble. This is the unchangeable rhythm of the bush. At the end of the day's safari, there is no hard-lying hunter's jungle camp, but a rest house that loses no romance by being comfortable. They are translated in hours to what explorers like Livingstone gave a life to see. But the Africa that surrounds the newcomers is the same Africa that the old explorers knew. The fire cuts a hole of brightness out of the velvet night of Africa. And the night is peopled with watching life. Mankind has come to look at Africa. And from the darkness around, Africa stares back. In a modern hotel on the Indian Ocean, there is dancing of a strictly 20th century kind. All over Africa today, there are hotels like this, whose amenities owe nothing whatever to the crowd. In the last few years, East Africa has lavishly adapted itself to the demands of visitors from Europe and America. People who like the wilds and also like their comforts. The highest mountain in all Africa is Kilimanjaro, the great and magical dead volcano of Tanganyika, 19,500 feet, which the Maasai people call Ngaji Inga, the house of God. It is easy for the visitor to reach, nor is it hard to climb up the track to its wooded foothills. Here stands Kilimanjaro on the edge of the Serengeti plains, surrounded by its family of hills, overawing the humans who admire it from below, perhaps from the strangely different grandeurs of the rift. The Great Rift Valley is one of the most immense cleavages in the Earth's surface. The enormous scar drawn over Africa from the Middle East down here to Kenya. On Lake Manyara in Tanganyika lives a splendid and celebrated population of flamingos, a rose-pink multitude whose dedication to this lovely lake has endured since any man can remember. A short flight off the Kenya coast lies Zanzibar. Of the many beguiling and evocative names of faraway places, this is one of the greatest invitations. It is the Isle of Spices, to which the old navigators, it is said, could find their way from Arabia by the scent of the cloves it so abundantly produces. This old Arab sultanate, changeless heart of Islam in Africa, is a place with its own long history of dignity and ancient values. Still, as it always was, the trading center of the Arab Sea. Today, Zanzibar is more than ready to make welcome all comers to the erratic charm of its narrow, secret streets. The island is still proud of the work of its craftsmen, the ingenuity of its dealers. This is the Middle East in Africa. In these dhows, the merchants came from the Red Sea in the days of Harun al-Rashid, and continue so to do in the vessels of their ancestors. Back on the mainland coast is Fort Jesus, which flies the flag of the Sultan of Zanzibar. The fort is East Africa's most renowned and ancient monument. And around the fort has now grown up an infinite diversion of less solemn matters. For here the sea is not a highway nor a frontier, but like everywhere else where humans make holiday, an element of entertainment with a function of fun. This can be found on the surface of the sea or below the surface, since even tourists now insist on being three-dimensional. But Africa was there centuries before the tourists could reach it. And just a step behind the new is the very, very old. It is sometimes said, Africa has everything except history. Africa produces its own denial in the relics of cultures long departed, like the rock paintings of the Bushmen, like the ponderous mysteries of Zimbabwe, the strange Rhodesian ruins of some ancient African endeavor of which the authentic secret is yet to be defined. But the new cares little for the old. Salisbury, capital of southern Rhodesia, grows and expands almost as you watch. Today, it is the most vigorously ambitious city of all Central Africa, and with Africa's uncountable acres all around, insists on growing upwards. This swiftest growing of all countries is the home of many peoples, a multiracial state requiring a multiracial university. Here in Salisbury, the students learn together to live together. Now from Central Africa, south to the even busier concerns of metropolitan Africa. Johannesburg is the surging commercial center of the Rand. The biggest city after Cairo in all Africa, where the land of bush and beasts and the throb of drums is lost in a different set of urgencies. Here is the greatest gold city in the world, built round the mines, whose strange square dumps are monuments to Mammon. Some 20 miles away lies Pretoria, administrative capital of South Africa, where the civil service makes its headquarters among the jacaranda trees. Where Africa comes to its southernmost end is the old Dutch city of Cape Town, to which the white man came 300 years ago and found a place to build a capital as beautiful as any in the world. Cape Town lies under the shadow of one of the memorable hills of Africa, or indeed of anywhere else, Table Mountain. And it is one of the perquisites of Cape Towners that they can mountaineer mechanically and climb their own domestic summit in a cable car. Here is the toe of Africa. Here is the parting of the ways, or the meeting of the waters, for at this point two oceans meet, the cold waters of the South Atlantic and the warmth of the Indian Ocean. The Cape is famous racing country too, and you will find that horses at 34 degrees south are as perverse as horses anywhere else. Among the vineyards of South Africa, the Groot Constantia is the most renowned. The old farmhouse built by Governor van der Stel in 1685 shows that the old colonial Dutch knew how to live. Here are the oldest vines in all the southern hemisphere, and the vineyards follow an unchanging pattern. South Africa stemmed a man with a dream of uniting Central Africa under his own name, Cecil Rhodes, and who bequeathed that name to us as Rhodesia. And there was another whose ambitions were less, but whose memory is even greener. Dr. David Livingstone, who explored Africa for the glory of God, who did harm to no man, but on the contrary, found Africa. And in Africa, by the Victoria Falls, this great cataract, the town was given his name, Livingstone. This is surely the climax of the African scene, the timeless thunder of the waters, reminding us of all the ages, all the splendor, all the majesty of Africa.